Good evening, family and friends. Welcome to Dick's 90th birthday celebration. How's that, Kurt? Okay. It's awesome. Most of us have been together to celebrate Dick's 60th birthday. And who could forget his 70th birthday? Wow, what a party, huh?
Yeah.
Downtown hangar, Kansas City, Missouri. That was a lot of fun. And his 70th birthday, or 80th birthday in Overland Park. Now we're lucky to be here at beautiful Oakwood to celebrate his 90th birthday. Dad, 90 years old. You look fantastic.
I'll say.
Doesn't he look great, y'all? Just ask him. Over these decades, we have known that Dad's humor knows no bounds, and neither does his heart. Dad, you've been roasting us all for years. We felt it would only be fair to roast you back. As the saying goes, we only roast those we love. Yeah. So let's raise our glasses to toast Dad, a man who's brought us joy, laughter, and a lot of embarrassment to our lives over the years. We love you, Dad. Now let's get this roast started. We will leave the jokes to a professional. Welcome a friend, a Kansas City icon, and a funny guy, David Nastor.
Yeah.
Dicky, baby. Dick, first of all, I want to welcome everybody. You probably can't see me, but I want to welcome everybody to the Oakwood Country Club. It's a Jewish country club, and Dick decided to have it here because we know he's such an observant Jew. You didn't hear what I just said? I said, you are such an observant Jew. That's what I said. Surprised you don't have a kippah on. By the way, everybody here, do not take the centerpieces. This is not a bar mitzvah. Leave it on the table. Leave it on the table. Dick, the first time I did that joke about don't take the centerpiece, it's not a bar mitzvah, I'm in Arkansas, and I did that joke. And thank God it was Pocket Dictionary night, because these people were going, bar mitzvah, bar mitzvah. Do they have a happy hour at bar mitzvah? Is Jew a J or a G? How do you sell that thing? Bagel, I know what that is. That's a hunting dog. I know what a bagel is. Okay. Keep up, folks. Let's go. Thanks for getting that. Thanks for getting that. You must be Jewish, or you wouldn't get that. And you know, Dick, we didn't want to have this tomorrow night because it's Shabbos, and thank God it wasn't on Passover, or you'd be eating matzah and Morgan David wine right now is what you'd be eating. Again, that's for the Jews only. When just to start off, to be safe, if you are easily offended, I would like to point you to the exit doors right over here and right over here, because if you know Dick Galamba, and you get offended, what the hell are you doing here? Because you know that about you. You know that. Well, I've been waiting for this. You know what? I was making notes at your 70th when Marilyn was there, and Tim Porter said, take notes. Dick's going to call you up, and I had all this stuff, and you never called me up, so we're getting even tonight, brother. Okay. I was talking, this is funny, I was talking to Debbie about all this, and why, she said, David, I got to get off the phone. And I said, why? And she said, Dick fell down, and he's bleeding, and he's got very thin skin, and I start laughing my ass off. Because I said, that's the last thing you expect to hear is Dick Galamba and thin skin. I knew you liked that one. And Dickie, I think what you ought to do is you ought to have a commercial. A commercial, instead of I've fallen and I can't get up, you ought to do a commercial going, you goddamn right I fell. I'm going to get your ass over here and pick me up. That's a commercial. Instead of what is that? The Visiting Angels, it'll be the Galamba Giddy-Ups is what we'll call that. Okay. Okay, Dick, here we go. I've been wanting to do this all night. Dick, get the microphone up to your mouth. Okay. I've heard about the damn mushroom joke. That you tell everybody the mushroom joke. And they said a lot of things. They said you told jokes, the same jokes over and over for 25 years. So, and not that you didn't love it, but how long, 45? Is that what you said? So, Dick, I want to go toe-to-toe with you tonight. You tell me a joke, I'll tell you a joke, and I may have some new ones for you. So let's hear the mushroom joke. I want to hear you tell me the joke, please. No, go ahead. Would you do it?
What, my first 3 wives died for me?
Yeah, but put the microphone up to your mouth so we can hear you. Up to your mouth, yeah. Let's hear the joke. Is that you got a joke? I got one for you.
They've all heard it.
Okay, have you heard this one? Okay, let me give you one maybe you haven't heard.
Tell it.
Okay, here's one. Imagine a couple's been married for 65 years. It's a farm couple. And the husband and wife are laying in bed at night, and she's ready to go to sleep. And no, he's a smart ass like you. And he reaches over, and he grabs her breast and says, you know what? If we can get some milk out of this thing, we can get rid of the cows. And laughs and thinks that's funny as hell. She doesn't laugh. He reaches between her legs and said, if we can get some eggs out of this thing, we can get rid of the chicken. Laughs his head off. She doesn't think it's funny. Then she reaches over and grabs his and said, you know what? If we can get this thing hard, we can get rid of your brother. Is that a good one? You like it? Okay, I got another one for you. Farm couple. Farm couple. Good to see you, brother. A farm couple. Let me stand up so there's people over there to see my back. There's a farm couple, and the little boy goes downstairs. He's 8 years old. He walks downstairs. He goes, Mom, where's my breakfast? She said, no, you know the rules. You go do the chores, you get your breakfast. He goes out and feeds the pigs, kicks the pig. Goes out and feeds the chicken, kicks the chicken. Goes out and feeds the cow, kicks the cow. Walks back in, where's my breakfast? There's a bowl of cereal on the counter. And Mom said, that's all you're getting. Why? Well, says, you're not getting any milk. I saw you feed the cow and kick the cow, so you're not getting any milk. You're not getting any eggs because I saw you feed the chicken, kick the chicken, no eggs. And you're not getting any bacon because I saw you feed the pig and kick the kids, so no bacon for you. About that time, Dad walks down the stairs. Family cat is in the way. He kicks it out of the way. The little boy looks at his mom and goes, you want to tell her or should I? Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
One more. Now, folks, this joke I'm about to tell you, Dick Galamba, you could be the man in this joke. Okay, imagine. Little Steve comes in to Dad and said, Dad, we learned 2 words today in school, and I don't know what they mean. What are the words? Theoretical and reality. You go, son, I got it. Come with me. So there you go. And you go to your daughter who just got back from college. You go, honey, let me ask you a question. Would you sleep with a man for $1 million, no questions asked? He's medically sound, nothing's wrong with him. I would never know, nobody would ever know. Honestly, would you sleep with him for $1 million? Dad, I think I might do that. Thank you for being honest. Stevie, come with me. Just don't just hide behind the window. I'm going to talk to your mom. So you say to your wife, honey, quick question. Would you sleep with a man, say, for $2 million? No questions asked, medically sound, nothing's wrong with him. I wouldn't mind. You didn't even have to tell me. Do you think you would do that for $2 million? She goes, you know, I think I would. You take little Stevie downstairs and said, son, it's real simple. Theoretically, we're sitting on $3 million. The reality is we're living with a couple of whores. There's some jokes for you, man. Let's get going here. Dick, we asked one of the servers to bring a bowl of icing so you can eat it with your fingers. We understand that you like running your birthday cake by running your fingers through the icing, but hell, it's your birthday finger all you want. And that's something you don't want to say to Dick Galamba when you're in private. But anyway, thanks for getting that. Even at 90, you look great. Blue eyes, striking white hair, best looking guy in the room. And if you don't believe it, just ask him. Remember when I asked you if you preferred blondes, brunettes, or redheads, and you said, that'll be fine. as long as she can even be bald, but doesn't have a deep voice. We'll get to that at a later time. Yeah, I did. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Yeah, I did. Dick, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm just going to cut right to it. My mom didn't like you. But let me tell you why, because this is going to bring back a memory. Let me tell you why. I heard about Dick Galamba when I was 12 years old. And I just heard of Dick Galamba. I didn't know who you were. And it's because you coached Norwood. My brother Mark played for Milburn, and you would yell it out, "Kill Nestor, get him, he's fast." My mom hated you. She would talk about you at the dinner table all the time. "That no good SOB, Dick Galamba." And then I got to meet you. I don't know if you remember that night. Tom Porter and Tim Porter, we came over to your house. And we came over there, and I got to meet Dick Galamba and got to know the way you were. And I don't want to get too sentimental here about Dick, but you were teaching me how to play pitch that night. I don't know if you remember that or not. You were teaching me how to play pitch, and you were telling me what card to lead, and you took the trick. Every time. You know, Dick, I'm going to keep moving. I thought that'd get a bigger laugh, but we'll move on. Thank you.
You haven't got better pants yet. You're still...
Oh, these are pants, buddy. I just got back from Thailand, so that's it. By the way, Playa, I got back from Thailand. Maya, Anya, Lub, and Ploy all said hi. Okay. You want to say something? They said something.
What?
This is a really interesting thing about Dick I didn't know, folks. Again, I'll stand up, and so you can do that.
You're hurting my neck when you stand up.
Does it really hurt you? Would you shit me? Yeah, you shit everybody, Dick. Don't tell me that. You put everybody on. Dick, this is really interesting. I found out about you. I'll move through this. But when you worked with the Overland Park Fire Department, well, Elmhurst with Tom Porter, you were the guy that suggested the medical transport vehicle for the fire department way back then, and you were the guy, or is responsible. I don't know if you know this, folks. Dick Galamba was responsible for the Overland Park Fire Department for them to start having EMT training with the Red Cross. It was because he started doing that. Something else you wanted to say? What? And you know, your generosity knows bounds. Everybody knows that here. I'm going to get sentimental, Rose, to come to you, but you know, one of my dearest friends and best friends, as you know, Tim Porter, and I didn't realize that, but when he went up to the Cleveland Clinic with his prostate cancer, I didn't realize that was your plane that took him up there and brought him back to do that. So, good for you. This leads to many generous deeds of kindness you did. Grant Jones. Grant, are you here? Is Grant in the room? This is a letter that I got. I got some letters from people. What, Grant? Hey, Grant. And I just want, is this correct? I want to make sure that when you dislocated your shoulder, Dick made sure that you and your mom had more time together in Steamboat Springs with the plane. Is that true? There you go, Dick. There you go, right there. A man of diversity, ladies and gentlemen. You are a man of diversity, flying your jet from Leawood to Naples to Aspen. What a diverse group of wealthy white people you've hung up with. Good one, huh? That's a good laugh, man. That's a good laugh. A man and a woman, you betcha. Dick, I'm interested, and I don't know if you feel like talking or not with this, but you started flying when you were 20 years old. Is that correct? Could be. I'm curious. You got to think. What got you into flying? What got you to start flying a plane? I mean, at 20 years old, a lot of people. What's that? Cars didn't go fast enough. Okay. All right. You flew your planes for numerous medical attention to help people. I'm curious, so how many people that you flew did you induct in the Mile High Club? No comment. Thank you, ma'am. Guilty as charged. Anybody? No, I don't want to embarrass anybody. Anybody want in a Mile High? Okay. There we go. Fred Flintstone. Yeah. Probably with Barney. Anyway. You are the first Maverick. You were the first Maverick, folk. I don't know if you know this about this. Tom Cruise was called Maverick. But you did flybys the house at the Lake of the Ozarks. You did flybys. Matter of fact, one time you did a flyby in the early 70s that there was a guy who jumped off the flying bridge out of his boat. It's true, yeah, you started to do that. And then you did a flyby at the warehouse marina, and when you got to the thing, the FAA was waiting for you. They were, and you didn't. And what did Dick say? Write it up and let me get the hell out of here. That's what he said. And one time, this is great, Adrian told me this one. You were driving in downtown Kansas City the wrong way. And she said, Dad, you're going the wrong way. And you said, fuck 'em, I'm only going my way. Which I think that's a great name for your book, actually. Fuck 'em, I'm going my way. I think that'd be a great name for your book. How many of you, he's known for this, how many of you have seen Dick Galamba naked? What's that? Who was that? Dick just said you're starting to fall asleep. What's that? Does the Speedo count? No, I mean naked. I have stories here, but just a Speedo. Matter of fact, Tommy Bahama is coming out with the Dick Galamba springwear collection. And it's just going to be yellow shorts and sandals. That's all it's going to be. Because that's all you wore at the lake, yellow shorts. It's just few people know that. That came out of Robert's mouth?
Anything he told you.
I can't believe anything Robert said. Okay, I'm kind of your mouthpiece here. That's kind of fun here, Dick. The wedding night, you rode mini bikes down the hallway, your wedding night?
Yeah.
You did. You rode mini bikes down the hallway. Did you get in trouble? At the Four Seasons.
Fireplace in the middle?
Yeah.
We were racing.
You were racing mini bikes around there. Did you get caught? Yeah, like you would have cared, but you didn't get caught.
I didn't appreciate it.
Okay. What was I going to say? Dick Galamba, ladies and gentlemen, is known for dipping his grandkids in the pool to clean them after a dirty diaper. We don't want to embarrass her, okay. Famous expressions Dick Galamba had: if I told you, I'd have to kill you. That's expressions you had. The other one was when people would say, Dick, I love you, I appreciate you, you would say, yeah, you know I know. They said that's one thing you said from her, you know I know. And of course your famous line, I'm glad you got to see me. That's his famous line, and everybody knows about Galamba time. You can't be late, but he can be late anytime he wants to. That's Galamba time. And what was that? I asked them if I could say this, and they said yes. You had some great expressions when you were single. One was, if you can get it up, you can have it.
I still say it.
He said, and the other one was, why don't you just stand on your head and I'll just drop it in?
That too.
You said that too, okay. Hey, you said it. I'm just repeating it, brother. That's it.
They didn't have very good balance.
They didn't have very good balance. If you know Dick Galamba, you had a mandatory 3-hour lunch. If you know Dick Galamba, mandatory 3-hour lunch, you would hear the same jokes 25 years. And they said you have a palate of a 5-year-old to 12-year-old. You like hamburger, steak, chicken, and especially Italian food. No fish. You lived in Florida all the time. You hate fish, don't you? You hate fish. You don't like fish. True?
I don't eat fish, and I don't eat anything that smells like fish.
Your favorite place, Luigi's. Your favorite joint in
Valerie
Naples.
got it.
Matter of fact, they're going to feature a new dish called the Dick Galamba Seafood Platter. It's going to be a 24-pound hamburger is what it's going to be. Your favorite joint is Brooks Brothers, and you know Gabby. That's what people call you, Gabby. People can make fun of your diet all they want to, but I think we should all have the Dick Galamba diet so we all can be 90 years old.
Thank you.
Summer of 1978, your farmhouse. I feel like Ralph Edwards, this is your life. Dick Galamba, summer of 1978. Your farmhouse in Bucyrus wasn't finished. You lived in a duplex right behind Winstead's at 95th and Antioch. 4 dogs, 3 cats, 2 bedrooms. Jeannie was at the lake. Marion was home waiting for her boyfriend to pick her up. All of a sudden, she hears arguing, screaming, lots outside cussing. She walks out there. You're in a fight with a neighbor, screaming at them. She thinks it's going to be fisticuffs. Then they called the cops, and the cops came, and the next thing you know, you are bent over the car, and they're handcuffing you, and you yelled to her, Marion, get my Rolex. Get my goddamn Rolex off my hand. They took you down to the station 5 minutes away. She went back to get you, and she had the Rolex in her hand. By the way, did you go out on the date? Do you remember, did you ever go on the date? Because I'm sure if your date showed up and saw they go, oh, I think I'm going to go out with somebody else. I don't want to do that. Here's kind of a neat thing, Dick, about you that that's not what happened. What happened?
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen that way? Okay.
I was standing out in the front yard, the police came up and said, put your arms down. He said, put your arms down. I said, what do I got to put my arms for? We're the ones that called you. He said, put them down. He's a little guy, you know.
Yeah.
And he comes over, he tries to put handcuffs on him, and I said, we're going to put handcuffs on me. So he gets another cop, which isn't much bigger than him. So I said, oh, God. Here, I got some junior ones. So anyway, one grabbed one arm, and one grabbed the other arm, and I picked them both up off the ground.
You picked them both up?
Really did.
But you did say that about the Rolex, to get the Rolex.
Well, hell yes, he grabbed it. I said, don't touch that. And you know what I did? It startled him, so he let go.
But you did get drugged down to the station.
I didn't get drugged down. I walked down.
Oh, you walked down. Okay.
I walked to the police car.
Yeah.
She says, I got to put cuffs on you. I said, I don't care. This was a female. She came. She was
Okay.
kind of bossy but nice, like most women.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she gets me in the car. She shuts the door. The door's all locked, and she's knocking on the windows. Let me in. I said, not until you take the cuffs off me. She goes, I can't take them off if you don't open the door. I said, we're in a stalemate, aren't we? She said, please, Dick, it's embarrassing for me. So I felt sorry for her, and I opened the door. So she took the cuffs off me. And so we went on to the police station. I'm walking in. I said, what are in these rooms? I look in there, and the one miniature cop that was really a nasty bastard, he's sitting in one room, and the kid that started the thing, he's in the next room. And I walked by, and there's a desk sergeant, not the desk, he was a shift sergeant.
Yeah.
He said, Galamba, get in here. I said, oh, shit.
He knew your name?
He knew my name. My reputation preceded.
Yeah.
So I go in and sit down, and this other cop that was kind of, he was a Jewish cop.
Jewish cop,
Can you
yeah.
believe that? In Oak Park had a Jewish cop?
Can you, yeah, we're everywhere. That's why they call us wandering Jews, Dick. That's why they call us that.
They had a Jewish cop before they had a black cop.
They had a Jewish cop before a black cop. Okay, good. Good.
Anyway, I'm sitting there, and before I leave, they're trying to talk me into going to reserve. So the guy takes me home. He says, they want you to come up and see him on Monday and talk about going to reserve. I said, I don't want to go on reserves. He said, oh, come on, think about it. We're short. So I said,
he said, we're short? That's funny right there. They actually were short, Dick.
Wait a
Get the
minute.
joke? Okay, sorry.
sorry for what?
Go ahead.
Being short?
Yeah.
No.
Dick, hurry up. We got the place rented till midnight, so talk a little faster. Okay, we're going to move on here, Dick.
No.
That's okay. Okay. Now, here's
I walked away free.
You walked away free, man. Now, here's something really sweet about Mr. Galamba. But I believe this was you. You were in the first grade, and Jeannie and you were dating, and she was a bluebird when the Campfire Girls were around, and there was a father-daughter dance at her school, and you took her to the dance, and when it was her turn to introduce the fathers, she stood up and said, this is Dick, and he's going to be my dad. And you were married 3 years later.
That was hooked.
And here's a line that Dick said about that. I couldn't let the little girl down. That's why I married your mother.
That's right.
And here's a sweet thing about Dick Galamba that I never knew. When Jeannie she'd fall asleep with her glasses on, which was frequent, you would gently take them off and leave them on her nightstand so she would have them in the morning. Okay, before you get too sentimental about Dick Galamba, listen to this. He was a soccer coach. They talked you into being a soccer coach a couple of seasons, and he noticed the boys were afraid of the ball, so he made all the boys line up, and you threw the ball at them. You threw the ball at them, and if they flinched, you did it again even harder. But you hit one kid, Phil Crawford, right in the private parts.
He wasn't tall enough. He was too tall. You know what they did to me?
What?
These little shits, and he's one and Steven's the other one. I never coached soccer in my life. I thought it was a commie sport.
A commie sport.
Yeah. So anyway, there are all these books they brought me.
Yeah, hold the mic up to your mouth so they can hear you.
What?
Just hold the mic up so they can hear you in the back. Thanks. To your mouth, Dick.
Anyway, these little bastards, they took the books and hid them, and I didn't have them. That's when I went and threw the balls in their heads.
Oh, you did that. And then you also didn't like the way the ref was calling the game, and you're yelling at the ref, and the kid said, "Go figure." Dad would yell at the ref, and he threw you out of the game. And Dick said he threw me out of the game because I'm Jewish.
Hey, he took the flag down and told me to go ahead because he was Egyptian.
Dick, let's talk about the Jew card just for a second.
The what?
The Jew card. You like to play the Jew card. Dick was at the University of Missouri, played football, and you and Dan Devine did not get along. And you said it was because you said
It's Don Farrow.
Who was it?
Don Farrow.
Don Farrow. Is that right? Did I say that? Okay, Don Farrow. And you said he didn't like you because you were Jewish.
I never said that.
Somebody told me that.
Well, somebody's lying.
Somebody's lying. That's not true because I thought, yeah, you're Jewish. You were what?
I never said that.
You never said that.
No.
Well, there kills the.
Something like that.
That kills the joke I'm about to say then.
Well, then
Because I had a hard time believing you were the Sandy Koufax of the, thanks for getting that, of the Missouri Tigers. You're going to know I don't play on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I'm sure you did that. But you did break all records at MU because it only took you 6 years to reach sophomore status.
That's true.
Okay, I just want to get, of course, we all know your incredible business and that you employed over 300 people and you were very successful. You sold your company to two big, you had two big shredders. You sold the company. And after you sold your company to Nucor Steel, I believe it was Labe Asner said, "How can a guy that dumb make all that money?"
That's true, too. He said it to Keith Roberts.
He said it to Keith Roberts, who told me that. Anyway,
Guess who?
many people tonight here in this room have been blessed by Dick's generosity and helping others. We all know that. You and Jeannie gave much to support the Kauffman Foundation for the Performing Arts, the Johnson County Modern Art Museum, the renovation of the World War I Museum, MU and Nuremberg Foundations. And the funny thing, a lot of places you donated the funds, you never walked in the door, especially classes at the University of Missouri. Dick, is it true that you saw a mom with her kid on a leash and you said to the mom, "Is it a rescue?"
Now you're coming alive.
Now we're coming alive, baby. I got one for you. Here's the best one here. What does Dick Galamba and Tesla have in common? Neither one of them have a filter.
That's true, too.
Dick, you had your very own table at a Handsome Harry's, the famous senior meat place, also Campiola's. Valentine, the bartender, couldn't be here tonight. She said she was sorry, but she had some other seniors she was working on. Dick, you sold your company. After you sold your company, and you were down there, and we can tell this story because it was BD before Debbie. We can tell this story. Yeah, BD before Debbie. And you were single, and you just sold the company, and you were flying high, having a great time. And you were flirting with about 4 different women, I understand, and if not many, but you're flirting 4 different women at different times, different places. And at one night, they all showed up. At one night, the ultimate juggler. And Conrad and Greg are watching this entire situation take place. And Conrad had one of the best lines he ever said. He leans over to Greg and says, "Well, I think this is the way it's going to be tonight. He just took on a big load of fuel." That was a joke just for you, brother. Okay. Dick, a lot of people don't know this, had to repeat the 6th grade. You had to repeat the 6th grade. And you told everybody you were just waiting for Ned to catch up.
He's too stupid to catch up.
You
never got there.
What's that?
He never got there.
You and Ned, Don Quixote.
I had to go back and join him.
You and Ned, Don Quixote and
Longest 2
Sancho
years of my
Panza.
life.
Okay. This is an interesting letter. Dick is a great encourager. I especially appreciate his belief in me. I would not be the person I am today without his encouragement and friendship. Al Sharpton. Is that right? How the hell did that get in here? That was just for me, folks. Thank you. That was just for me. Then there was a time you were flying to Naples. You heard a noise from the door. In your calm demeanor, you were just known as Mr. Cool, the calm demeanor guy. In your calm demeanor, you told the folks on the plane, buckle up, we're going down. The door to the cabin wasn't sealed properly, and you went on down and you took care of them. And they said, that's the one cool thing. And I asked, you were on that flight. You were on the flight. And that's when the door popped open. Wait a minute, was that the flight? Or I was going to ask him, or was that the flight that dropped 1,000 feet? Go ahead, you were there?
I was there. We were going to Naples, Florida, and we got off very late because my son was late to get to the, very late. Even under Dick Galamba's time schedule, it was late. He was a counselor. Okay. He was a counselor in, he was late getting back to Kansas City, and we were jumping on the plane to go to Naples. And we're on our way, and we get a half hour outside of Kansas City, and we hear this loud sound on the plane. And Dick, calm and cool and collective, says, guys, turns around from the pilot's seat, and he says, buckle up, we got to go down. And didn't miss a beat. We buckled up, and meanwhile, the door was making all kinds of noise. And he says, something's wrong. And he called in to go to a lower altitude. And we, I think, ended up in Alabama somewhere, Mississippi. And we landed, and I guess the seal around the door didn't set correctly. And they fixed it, and we were on our way. But from that point on, I'd go anywhere in the world with Dick Galamba because he was, I thought, the best pilot in the world.
Dick Galamba. We're going to start calling you Sully, is what we're going to call you. Sully. Sully Galamba is what we're going to call you. This is kind of cool, and I hope I got this correct. If I don't have this correct, please have the people in here correct, because this is a beautiful story. One time you called your friend Lewis and said, I heard your dad said he wanted to live to be 100 and go 100 miles an hour. So meet me at the Speedway. You gave them a time and a place at such and such a date and time. You told Lewis just to tell his dad you got a new race car. You didn't want him to know what was going to go on. And when they got there, a man was waiting and told his dad, to follow. They put him in a fire retardant suit, lifted him through the window into the race car, strapped him in, and not only did he go 100 miles an hour, but ultimately went 135 miles an hour, all because you, Dick Galamba, wanted to make a lifelong desire become a reality. I will always hold you in the highest esteem and call you my good friend. Love you, Louis Nerman. Moving along here, let's see. Again, the story takes place at the Executive, a 10-chair barbershop in the early 60s. I was a young barber. Is that barber in the room? The person who was the barber? Is he in the room? Benny? Is that right, Benny? Benny, so if I want to get...
Actually, Benny the Blade.
Benny the Blade? So all of a sudden, you're cutting Dick's hair. He takes the shears and just decides, he shaves his own head. Right there, and then he starts to walk out, Benny, and you say, oh no, you're paying for it. It was my equipment.
I said, for what? And he says, you used my clippers.
And then, Benny, there was a time with Dick, another time later on, we're going to fast forward to 2024. You have your own, the Plaza Hair Designs that you own for 45 years. Anyway, Dick's in there, put the around him, and he starts to take his hearing aids out, and you get the phone call, come back around, you start cutting his hair, and the truth of the matter is you didn't take the hearing aid out, and you cut the wire of his hearing aid. Yeah, he cut the wire of your hearing aid, and you said, I'll pay for it, and he said, no, you won't. Okay, you know, we've got some people here that want to talk and to do that. So, by the way, Dick, this is a suggestion. I was going to use it, but you can do it because people know that you're naked, and sometimes you do fall down accidentally. So I have a suggestion to get a tattoo right here on this butt in case you fall down face down naked, and the tattoo should read, "Flip over, inflate immediately." Okay. Keith Roberts, get on up here. Keith has a few things he wants to say, Dick. Here we go. Oh, you want me to come back to you, Keith? Here you go. Go ahead and take the mic, buddy.
Yeah, so in 1987, Karen and I bought a condo at the Lake of the Ozarks, Sunrise Ridge. And some of the original owners are still in the room here.
Can you talk real loud into the mic so we don't hear you?
Okay, is that good? So we didn't know anybody, but there was this one guy there that the only thing he had to wear was yellow swim trunks and flip-flops. No shirt, no pants, nothing else. And so first I thought he was probably homeless. But then I saw him going down to see fancy boats and realized some of those boats were his. And then in a few days, I did see him in one pair of slacks. But I think he'd spent so much money on boats he couldn't buy clothes. So that's where I met Dick Galamba, along with other people in this room that everybody knows who they are. So, and most of us are still there, by the way, at Sunrise Ridge. But Dick's been a great friend to me, and you used all my stuff up.
You told me to do it. No, you didn't tell the story about the...
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm good. Oh, no, I can't do that one. Anyway.
the drunk Jaguar.
Oh, Ned.
Oh, yeah, well, I will tell it. So Jimmy will appreciate this. So Ned and Sandy were down staying at Dick's, and Karen and I were too, and we're going to go out to dinner that night at Campiella's, but Ned and Sandy left about 2 o'clock and went to the bar there. So when the rest of us got there about 5, Ned was really toasted. And he had rented a Jaguar, and it was sitting right in front of Campiella's. So Dick took the keys away from him and made him get a cab home to Dick's house, and which was probably a great idea. But it pissed Ned off, and he was ready to fight Dick. But that would have ended well. Yeah. But so anyway, when we get home, Ned is sitting on the couch, and he's got the Yellow Pages out. That's how long ago this was. We said, "What are you doing, Ned?" He said, "Dick, I'm looking for a hotel. I'm starting staying in this shack of yours." And he said, "Furthermore, I'm not flying on that fucking junk airplane of yours." Anyway, it was quite the evening. But those days, well, for many years, Ned and Dick were a combo. Kind of like you and Timmy Porter. Yeah, same statures, too. So.
Right. You want to tell the stolen car, or should we?
Oh, that's all right. Move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Keith Roberts. Thank you. Thanks for the stuff, brother. Thank you.
I'm going to go next.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Are you on the
I'm
list?
nobody. I'm not on the list, but I'm going next.
Come on up here, buddy. That's
Okay.
great. I love this guy.
All right.
You've been Galamba-ized.
49 years ago, I'd been dating Adrienne for 2 weeks. I hung out at their house every night. Okay? Finally, on about the 15th night, Dick actually came home from work about 5:30. I'm sitting in the kitchen. Jeannie's cooking dinner. She asked me to stay. I'm sitting at the kitchen table. Adrienne's in showering. Dick walks through the door. He looks at Jeannie and he said, "Who is this little prick?" And I looked over and I said, "Jeannie, who is this big dick?"
Did you really?
And he's loved me ever since. And I'm going to tell you something, 49 years later,
Yes, sir.
I'm still hanging out at his house.
Nice.
He is my surrogate father, and he knows I love him dearly.
Thank you, brother. Jimmy Eddie, where are you, Jimmy Eddie? Jimmy Eddie? Oh, there you are. Oh, you're Jimmy Eddie. Hi, Jimmy Eddie. You can stay seated, man. Just talking to my. You want to stand? You can stand if you want.
If an old man can stand, folks.
I'll be your bag.
Everyone's having a great time with these stories about this guy, but I want to tell you something. If any of you go back to the early 40s, like my brother and I did with this guy, answer that. It may be the phone. Hold on a minute.
Are you kidding me? You got a phone call now?
I can't talk to you now. That was my daughter.
She said, "Don't tell the story," I think is what
No.
she said.
She's in Napa. I can't talk right now. I can't turn the phone off. Anyway.
He's talking into his phone in his pocket. That's great.
What are you going to do when you're
Hold
my
on.
age?
He can't talk right now. He's busy.
It couldn't get any better. It just doesn't have a, thank you, God. Anyway, we go back to the early 40s. And I got just a couple of memories, and these are serious memories from the heart. You remember we met you for the first time with your mama, that wonderful hobby hut in Brookside, in the old Quonset hut from World War II. And we sat there every Saturday morning, and she conducted those classes. We made balsam wood model airplanes and toy cars and all that kind of stuff. She was a real champion and a great influence on my life and my brother's life, and I'm sure your life. You remember those days? Boy, oh boy. And in Prairie Grade School, we went to Prairie Grade School together, all of us. Unbelievable. Your house on Tomahawk Road, the driveway. Remember that steep driveway? My God Almighty. And how we'd go up that driveway when you had your Cushman motor scooter, and we'd have to push the damn thing up the driveway because it wouldn't make it with us on the back seat of it. And then there was your Jaguar. Remember that Jaguar? And you drove that thing like it was in NASCAR from here to Columbia and back, and you could do it, and we timed it with the top down in the wintertime. It was awful. You never put the damn top up. We were roommates for a while at University of Missouri, this guy and my brother and I, and they finally got tired of it, and they clocked out and left me there in the apartment. Anyway, the motorcycle. Remember that frickin' motorcycle? How could we forget that? Caused us to meet and get together with Padre Waris. Are you still here, Padre? He had to leave. He got an early mass in the morning. But my brother Ned was 3 sheets to the wind, and Dick and Jeannie came over on their motorcycle to visit that night. And my brother got on the motorcycle and did a wheelie, not knowing what the hell he was doing, and crashed and burned. His nose was over here, and that caused us to meet Alan Hughes. Remember Alan Hughes? Became all of our great friends, plastic surgeon. Put his nose back.
That's when he got a good nose.
That's right. Anyway, Dick's football career was something else. We talked about that earlier. Dick was the reason I've got a private pilot's license. When I was a senior at Missouri University, he took me out to the flying field there, the airport, little airport, and introduced me to the head pilot down there, Cotton. Remember Cotton? Ooh.
Cotton Woods.
Pardon me?
You want me to buy you some hearing aids?
I got them. Go on.
Listen to me. Cotton. You know, like Eli, when he says, ain't got no cotton in my gin, go ahead.
Yeah.
Cotton.
He used to go, ooh. Remember that? Any,
Do we need subtitles here?
anyway, when I took my first solo flight, took off, had to land again, Galamba's down there, giving me the big cheers, and I finally landed the plane after 3 times. But he was the reason I became a private pilot. And then all of his various airplanes, out of the kindness of his heart, would fly us wherever if we had an emergency. He brought my mother back when she broke her hip and she was in Oklahoma City. We were coming back, rented a big van for her to get. He said, no way. He brought his Learjet down there and we loaded her on the plane and he flew her back. And many other trips. And over good times, we've all had them business-wise, and hard times, we've had them business-wise. We were there for him when he had his problems. He was there for us when we had our problems. And I don't know anyone in business today that hadn't had good times and bad times. We all go through them. He's always a man that was there. He was a fireman years ago, volunteer. I don't know how many lives this guy saved, but I always used to say, if you ever need yourself saved in an emergency, dial D for or G for Galamba. He'll save your life. God knows how many lives he's probably saved when he was volunteering and doing all that. He's wonderful giving to others. I'm reading this because there's so many things I could say.
We got the place ready till midnight, though. So.
Okay. He'll remember this. He'll remember the 12th Street Tarantulas. Remember that? We're a social group. Remember the 12th Street Tarantulas? And this is your life, Dick. Will the real Dick Galamba please stand up? I'm sure there's more, but I need a nap, and you always told me naps are good. God bless you, and thank you, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Nice work. Nice work. Thank you.
My name is Steve Brown. I'm part of the Robinson Brown family, and my wife Mindy and my brother-in-law Russ are here tonight, and we've had lots of years of experience with Dick. So Dick, I wanted to tell you that Mindy wrote this, and I contributed to this, but I've been called a lot of things in my life, but tonight I'm called the Speaker of the House, so I'm speaking for us. And it's all about you, and that's what I'm going to talk about. And bear with me, because I'm going to try to make it through this as fast and as easily as I can. Dick, as we gather here to celebrate your 90 years of life, we wanted to take a moment to reflect on just how much you've meant to Mindy and me and our family throughout the years. I could stand here and try to tell funny stories, but I'm choosing to speak to who you are to the Robinson Brown family. You've been a constant source of strength, wisdom, laughs, financial support in our businesses, and luckily reaped the success with all of us as well. We hope you made us proud. Your influence on all of us is immeasurable, as has been your advice at times needed. It's hard to put into words how much your presence and time spent with our family has shaped our lives. You've always been more than just a friend to our family. You've been like a mother to us. A father to us. But all of us. From the smallest moments to the biggest milestones, you've been there. Your guidance and your unwavering loyalty have seen, excuse me, I got to turn the page, have seen through both the highs and the lows of our lives. You've shared the Rocky Mountains air with us and advised and comforted us in our struggles, always with that signature humor and kindness that makes you one of a kind. And let me repeat, you are one of a kind. What really stands is the strength of your character, as I'm sure everyone in this room can testify to. You're a man of integrity, and you dedication, especially to us, has never been wavered. You were there with all of us during the last days of our time with our father, Jerome Robinson, and no matter how long it lasted, you were there, and you were not going to leave us. Not one of us ever forgot that loyalty you showed to your friend, our dad, at that time. What a lesson you taught for all generations of our family. You love unconditionally. Your generosity knows no bounds. In a world that can sometimes feel uncertain, you have been our steady foundation, consistent in support and present always with us. You've showed us to give without expecting anything in return and to love deeply and wholeheartedly. You inspire us to be funnier, kinder, and laugh about life. Your ability to bring light and humor to every room and situation you enter is a gift we will always cherish. The Robinson Brown family has been so fortunate to have you by our side for so many years, and we know that we are all better for it. Getting there. As you celebrate this momentum birthday, we want you to know how deeply loved and appreciated you are by our entire family of all generations. You imparted wisdom, your strength, and your love will forever be part of who we are. Here's to you, our friend, our mentor, and a true member of our family. I know our parents are smiling above, not only because they have shared so many fun times with you as well, but because they are so happy we are here to celebrate with you tonight. We do apologize for having you change from your, this is a good one, some of you probably remember this, your flame retardant clothes of polyester to cashmere, cotton, and natural fabrics in your midlife, which we know cost you more money than you thought you could ever spend on clothes, and was traumatic for you. This was traumatic for you as well. But trust us, it made you more handsome, and Mindy will agree with that, as you know, if that's possible, okay? You get possibly than you ever were, and safer for all of us. Happy 90th birthday, Dickie Doo, and thanks Debbie and your whole family for sharing you with us for our lifetime. We love you.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Dick, 90 years, man. 90 years. When you hear all this stuff these folks are saying, what's going on inside of me? This is great stuff. What's going on inside of Dick Galamba when he hears this stuff?
I'm just blessed.
You're blessed.
I'm very blessed that I have friends like this, the people I care about, I love. The Robinsons, I've known them since the 50s. And you couldn't drag me to a bar mitzvah, but I had to go. But I can tell you something, it's one of the finest families I've ever known in my life, and I love them dearly. And that doesn't take away from anybody else, because I love you all dearly. And we've spent many years together. We've had good times, we've had bad times, we've had happy times, we've had sad times. But it all kind of turns out that we can smile afterwards. And we're there to come back again. And nobody's going to take you down unless you let them. And don't let them. Just stand up and be your own man or your own person. And I'm telling you, I'm so blessed with my family. I'm so blessed. I just can't, with all you, I can't tell you how lucky I am. And to be here at whatever age I am, I can't remember, it's just a number. And Melvin, he comes all the way from Waco to come see me. Neither one of us can understand one another. We're both deaf, so we talk sign.
Well, hold on. There's a couple more people that want to say. Joe Constiglione, who are you? Joe,
I know every one of you would like to be at a microphone tonight, and sorry you're not going to get a chance to do that, but all of us that do get to speak are expressing the love and the appreciation and the respect that we have for the birthday boy, Dick Galamba. Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far. 3 things. How I met Dick Galamba. Some people would know a guy named Chuck Mayer. I was friends with Chuck Mayer back in my early days at the University of Missouri. I was in the midst of trying to sell a coach's show, needed sponsors. Chuck was president of Blue Valley Bank. I went to see him. He was gracious enough to sponsor. And I asked Chuck, do you know anybody else that I could call on? We need some more help. And he said, well, there's this guy, actually was my teammate at the University of Missouri, but he's so pissed off at the Tigers, I don't think you're going to get him. I'm like, why? He said, it's a long story. I said, well, you know, Chuck, I like a good challenge. What's his name? Give me his number, and I'll just cold call him. So I did, and he agreed to see me and told me where to come to his office. So I drive out. I had never been there before. I drive out onto this lot, and there were stacks of cars, old cars and buses, and it was just metal everywhere. And I didn't know. I'm weaving through to get to the building. I finally get there. Dick is in his office. I walk in. And we're just chit-chatting. And I said, Dick Galamba. I said, you know, I've got a vowel on the end of my name. You have a vowel on the end of your name. Are you Italian? And he said, fuck no. I'm Jewish. Okay, well, this meeting is really off to a good start. And so we're talking a little bit more, and I said, well, I know you're busy. I get right to the point. I'm here to try to ask you if you'd be interested in helping us sponsor the football and basketball coaches show. And these are important for recruiting and getting visibility. We have them airing all over the state on network affiliates, but we need some sponsors. And I'd like to ask if you'd be willing to sponsor. And out of his mouth comes, what the fuck would I want to do that for? So now we're really going down. I said, you know, maybe I'll just let you think about it. And I'll call you another time. So I got up and I started to walk out. And he said, hold on a second. Are you hungry? I said, I'm Italian, aren't I? And he said, well, let's go to lunch. We went to lunch. And that started what has been an unforgettable blessing in my life and what has extended to my wife, my 2 sons, Joe, Jonathan, and now my daughter-in-law, Jenna. And so...
How many years, Joe? How many years has that been?
How many years?
Yeah.
42.
42 years.
And so the second story, unforgettable, almost caused a national incident. And because of the timing, it's about 28 years ago, I took Dick to a Final Four. It was in Florida. I flew down, picked him up in Naples. He had, back then the Cadillacs were still big. He had a big Cadillac. We drove up to Tampa where the Final Four was that year, took him to a party beforehand, and we're going to the game. We grabbed a few people that were at this party that needed a ride. So we get in traffic and we're headed over there. We're sitting in traffic, and of course, as you get to the arena, you can imagine all the police and the people moving traffic along. We're sitting there in traffic, and there's a deputy right here, and Dick rolls his window down, and he says, "Hey, I've got the governor of Utah in this car." and the guy says, "What?" And he says, "Yeah, I've got the governor of Utah in this car. Can you help us get through the traffic?" And the sheriff gets on his radio. "We have the governor of Utah. We're going to send him up on the side, and please help direct him to the arena." And so literally, they pull us out of traffic. We go up on the sidewalk, go down, make a left. They get us down in front of the arena. And this is pre-9/11, so there weren't all those barricades around the big sporting venues they have now. I could not believe it. And this sheriff deputy had radioed every one of the other deputies along the way, and they were looking for this yellow Cadillac. And they grab us, they pull us up onto the concrete perimeter of the arena and let us drive literally right up to the door. I am not exaggerating. Right up to the door. And I'm like, "Dick, are we going to have to get out of this car?" So I told the other people in the back, "Get out first," because I look and I see Mike Krzyzewski, Rick Pitino, Jim Boeheim, Roy Williams, all great, well-known basketball coaches standing in line, and I know every one of them. And I am literally 10 feet away from the door, and I am getting out of the car. I got out of the car, and we went in, and poor Dick had to go park the car like 8 blocks away. We lost him for the first half. Like, where have you been? Last story. Dick is a very, very, very special person. As you know, you've talked about all the random acts of kindness, the generosity, and it's profound. But he also helps people in times of need. This particular point in time didn't start out that way, but he and Keith and Karen came down to a football game at the University of Oklahoma, and I had him sit up in a suite. And, I have to do certain things. I'm running around. I come back, check on them. They're having fun. Well, Dick has, he's never met a stranger. So he starts talking to this one guy. And this one guy's I happen to know it's one of our donors. He's going through a bit of a tough time in his life. And Dick is talking to him, and you can just see the guy is really having a good time. But they're talking. I said, "Dick, the game is going on here," and they're still talking. Finally, I walk over, and I'm listening to them talk, and they get to this point in the conversation. And he said, "Well, I've never been married before, and I finally met somebody that I think I want to marry." And he said, "But I'm 73 years old, and I've never been married before. And this person, I love her, she's from the Philippines, but she doesn't like dogs." And so, Dick, I either have to get married and get rid of my dog, or not get married and keep the dog. And Dick, without missing a beat, keep the dog. So, Dick, unforgettable. That's what you are. And for all of us, the love that we have in our heart for you will always be there. Thank you for being a part of our lives. Happy birthday.
So I met this guy in 1987.
Right in the mic, talk loud.
I met him in 1987 at a fire station in Stanley, Kansas. I was working down there part-time, working full-time at Overland Park, working part-time at Stanley, and Dick was a volunteer down the road at Stillwell at the Aubrey Fire Department. He knew a few people that worked down there, including Danny Porter. So Dick would come in, and I met him, and my first reaction was, who the hell is this guy? You know, I didn't know. I was a probably 25, 26-year-old kid. I didn't know what I was getting into with him. Little did I know, 35 years later, I'm going to have this friendship like I've never had before with this guy sitting right here next to me that's been so special all along. But I want to tell you about this journey with Dickie. Most everybody knows this, or not a lot of people may know this, his passion for the fire service. It was talked about earlier. I heard Elmhurst and Tom Porter. So in 1947, Dick was in Mission Hills, and the fire station at 63rd Mission Road got a new fire truck. They got a 1947 Mack open cab fire truck. And Dick, as I think the story goes, correct me if I'm wrong, rode his bicycle down there and watched him unload this truck the first day it was put into service. So that kind of started his passion for the fire service. And then in the 60s, he got on Elmhurst, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's the area around Shawnee Mission West High School before Overland Park was incorporated. And after they ran a fire department, well, Dick was a volunteer there, and Tom Porter was the chief. And Dick used to run the 1957 Ford Big Job. Well, fast forward 40, 50 years later, Dick owns that 1947 Mack fire truck today. He found out Brian Diener, Chief Diener over around here, was part owner in that. So Dick said, I've got to have that truck. He grew up with that truck, so he's got it today sitting in the warehouse. He also bought the 57 Big Job that he operated at Elmhurst when he was a volunteer. Except that was probably under a hedgerow somewhere, though, isn't it?
That's when one of those super guys came and was going to fix everything.
And he didn't. He pretty well screwed you over on that, I think. So Dick had quite a passion, and I'll tell you, when Tom Porter died, you know, Danny wanted a fire truck there for his dad. So Dick and I made a journey from 153rd Metcalf in the 1947 Mack that gets driven once every 10 years. And I was sweating, to be honest with you, for fear we weren't going to get to the church in downtown Overland Park. Well, we made it, and then the most unusual thing happened. We were told at the last minute that we don't have a hearse. We literally put Tom Porter's casket in the back of the fire truck and strapped it down with ratchet straps. And Danny rode behind us in his 3/4-ton pickup. In case the truck broke, we were going to put the casket in the bed of the truck. We made it to the cemetery. I don't even remember what you told the grave digger, but you want to tell that story?
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting ready to leave, and we loaded it all up, and he was a hippie. He had a pigtail all the way down his back. So I looked at him, I said, would you like to ride on the fire truck? He said, oh, I'd give anything to ride on the fire truck. I said, well, you're going to have to do two things. He says, what's that? I said, see that button down there? When you go through an intersection, you didn't get us any escorts. You got to blow that siren, and then see that rope down there? You got to bang that bell. You got it? I got it. Well, what's the funeral director going to say? If I do this, don't worry, I'll handle her. Get in there. He gets in there. So I tailboarded. And so they said, what in the hell are you doing back there? I said, I just want to hold his casket and make sure he doesn't get out. Right?
You're right.
So we pull up to the cemetery, thank God, and the grave digger comes up to me, and he says, you got to move. We have a hearse coming in here. I said, we are the hearse. He says, oh, Lordy. I said, have you got where we can back up and stop real quick and just let him slide into the grave? He looks around and he said, I got about 14 tombstones I got to move to do that. I said, well, maybe we can find enough guys to carry it. He says, I haven't got anybody here but myself. I said, I'll tell you what, you watch this. This will be magic. So about that time, everybody showed up and they got out and they took it around. This guy's following me. He said, I've been here for a long time, and I ain't ever seen a funeral like this before. Is that it?
That's it. So we actually got about halfway back and the truck broke down and we had to let it rest over at Michael's Shopping Center at 127th Metcalf and go in and let the truck cool off so we could get back to Stanley with it. But the whole time I'm in the driver's seat, the minister's in the front right. Dick Galamba is wearing his suit and his white hair is blowing in the wind. He's hanging on the tailboard of this truck. We've got no police escort. And I've got the minister in the front who's calling everybody he knows on his cell phone with a grin from ear to ear, telling everybody he's riding on a fire truck hauling a casket. So it was quite the experience that none of us were planning on that day, but it happened. So Dick's got this fire truck collection. I don't know, what do you got, 7 or 8 of them?
I can't remember.
Yeah, he can't remember. I don't think he even knows where they're at. I think Keith may have possession of 1 or 2 of them somewhere. So he also got a truck from Branson. So he bought a truck from Branson. I don't want to misspeak. The chief of Branson's here. Ted, you might want to chime in on this, but Branson was trying to sell a ladder truck, and they were having trouble, and Dick said he'd buy it. So it came up here. I think the transmission went out at Grandview. So Dick now just bought a truck that needs a new transmission, has to have it towed to Grandview. Well, Dickie called me, he says, let's go get this truck. This guy was grinning ear to ear. It was like he was having flashbacks to 1960. And we drove that ladder truck through Belton, through all the roundabouts.
That's after we got it fixed.
After we got it fixed. I don't know what it cost you, but now I'm a pretty straightforward, straight shooter guy. I probably wouldn't even jaywalk, to be honest with you, for fear I'd lose my job.
Are you trying to say you're boring?
But I'm with this guy who's the opposite of that. And the whole time on the way back, he's wanting to run the damn siren on this fire truck that's not legal to run on the streets the whole time. And I'm thinking, oh, this is not good. So we pull into the farm, and he makes as much noise with that siren as he possibly can. And I never will forget Jeannie's expression when we came up the driveway. It's like, what the hell did you bring home? So
You forgot we had my grandsons in the back end, right?
well, and then, yeah, we did. And then the thing ended up becoming a diving platform later on, as I understand
Oh
it.
my God. That's true.
So this guy here has helped me. I can't tell you how much he's helped me through my career. He arranged and recruited me to get on the Aubrey Fire Department when I was building a house down there in 1989. And the chief at that time didn't like paid firemen, and I was a paid fireman somewhere else. Well, Dickie got me on. The chief was gone. I moved up the ladder. A few short years, I was running the place. 35 years later, I left. I retired from Overland Park, retired from Fire District 2. And I'm still more so connected with this guy today than I've ever been. So, Dickie, thank you so much for what you did in my career. You gave me an opportunity, you and Dick Weiser, and I know Dick's daughter's back there, Barb. So they gave me an opportunity that helped me in my career, and I know Dick has given many people in this room opportunities. So it's the same story, just different person. So Dick, thank you very much. I do want to tell one story, though, that probably worth sharing. So I met this guy. I started going to football games. I really didn't know what I was getting into. So I got assigned, I was the 3rd row seat passenger in the SUV with Dick Galamba behind the wheel, going to Arrowhead on a Sunday morning. And a lot of you have probably been there, so this story may sound familiar. But I've never wanted my fire helmet so bad as the trips to Arrowhead in the 3rd row seat of his Yukon XL or Yukon. So probably the most memorable trip, I'm in the back row. Conrad's in the passenger front right. And he opens up the Kansas City Star Sunday paper and he's going to read it going down 435. He's totally blocked the rearview mirror, the passenger mirror. Not that Dick would look in the mirror anyway. But he's totally blocking them. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to die. So before we get to Arrowhead, we've been flipped off 2 or 3 times, and we're damn near road rage incident because He's driving down across the center line, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is horrible. So we got past the fear of getting off 435. Then I thought, oh no, now we've got experience in the parking lot. And it's like his car didn't have a brake pedal. You've probably been there and seen him drive through the pedestrians at Arrowhead, and the barbecue grills are an up and over median. So I experienced it, and it was terrifying is what it was. So what Dick doesn't realize, I finally worked my way up to driver. It took me a few years, but what he didn't realize, the reason I was buying SUVs with third row seats, so I could be the driver and I didn't have to experience that anymore. And it worked. So anyway, Dickie, thank you for everything you've done for me. Happy birthday to you. It's been quite a ride. I look forward to your 100th birthday party.
You don't need a doozy. That's a doozy.
So we went to the bed races in Key West, and Dick, likes to make friends. And there was a couple thousand people there. And this fella was walking along, and Dick goes, wow, those are some great legs. And he didn't realize at that time he'd had a few beers. He was still drinking then. You can see it was a long time ago. But he didn't see the Adam's apple. And Key West is a special place. And then, so Dick goes, I want to get a picture with that. So he yelled over to the guy. He goes, hey, get your bony ass over here and take a picture with me. And the guy turns around and goes, oh my God. Anyway, so I snapped that picture, and I wanted to bring that because that was a special moment.
Tell them how long you had it on your phone.
Yeah, that was my screensaver for about a year. My wife was thinking I got a little disturbed over that. Once somebody did just mention Conrad, and he was a really, really special person, and obviously one of Dick's really, really close friends, and just kind of reminded me of Conrad's story. I'll tell it real quick. There is a tour boat down in Naples. It's called the Double Sunshine, and it runs 365 days a year. And people get on this crappy two-story boat, and they go around. They go, "Oh, this is a rich person," and they make up stories about people that live in houses and everything. And every time it goes by Dick's house, I'd run out in the yard and yell, "Largest pornographer dealer in the whole Midwest, big porno dealer," and the people are, and they take pictures. And anyway, so one time, and we all know about Dick being naked. I mean, the first time he answered the door naked, I was just, a little shocked. Anyway, so he's butt naked, and the tour boat's going by, and he's bent over Conrad, clipping Conrad's toenails. Well, this is a catamaran double-decker boat, and there's about 75 people on it, and they all run to this side. And you have to really be concerned about tourists that want to see two 80-year-old naked men. But the boat almost tipped over. But anyway, so I think he's a very popular person on that tour on a regular basis. But anyway, Dick, wouldn't have missed it for the world, and everything everybody said, ditto. Love you.
Greg, can we auction this off later? Is that possible?
I'm not a planned speaker, but I just felt that I just wanted to say something. And unlike Michael Christie, I promise I'll keep it short. So I met Adrian in 2009. So that's 16 years ago? And Mr. Galamba always opened up his arms, his house, and his heart to me. And that was a time that was, an ugly time of my life, but Adrian was the sunshine that got me back along with her dad. As a matter of fact, we met Mr. Galamba before. I met him before I met Adrian. And I've told Mr. G this a lot of times, and I hope he knows it comes from my heart. He has been the father that I never had. He's given me advice, he's given me love, he's given me support, and he's also given me shit. But something tells me I deserve that. But anyways, I just want to tell you, I love you, and you are the dad that I've never had. Thank you for that.
Last one, and not the least, but Mike Christie, where are you, Mike? Mike, come on up, buddy.
I met Dick when I was 12. He has absolutely taken care of our family, all 5 boys. We got divorced when we were very young, and Dick became the kind of the mentor to our family. All the stories that you've heard tonight are true. He's the greatest guy in the world, and that's all I can say. We have a huge, nice ranch south of Kansas City. Dick gave me the earnest money to put up for the ranch. We've been able to hold on to the ranch for 30-something years now, but he's the one that made it all happen. All my life, Dick has come to our rescue. We've been arrested several times. You guys think I'm joking. I mean, several. Dick knew every single police officer that was needed, okay? Danny Christie flipped his car in the ditch, knew the cop, no problem, got out of it. I smashed a van, I was 15, smashed a van. I don't even know who was driving. And Dick beat me to my house, and I got there and I was sweating, running. I ran for 5 miles. He says, "Michael, did you bring the keg of beer?" He just saved us and saved us and saved us. Anyway, the only thing I can say about Dick Galamba, he's the greatest thing that ever happened to me and my family in our lives. And we are so grateful, and I mean grateful, to have such a wonderful person in our lives. And I just want to ask everybody to stand up, give him a standing ovation.
This is for you. This is for you. He asked everybody to stand up for you. This is all for you, Dick. All these people are standing for you. Nice work, buddy. You done good, brother. Well done good. Happy birthday. Y'all are on. Do your thing, man.
All right, everybody, you're gonna sing with us here, and this cake comes in. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dick. Happy birthday to
You didn't. You didn't. You didn't. You did.